Shocking, now heaven knows anything goes.
Wait, hold on. Anything goes? Isn't that what's been happening in America for some time now? I think more and more Americans are waking up to this absurdity, and it shows by the overwhelming response we're getting with new volunteers. We hear and see you believe COS is the solution, as big as the problem. So thank you, and let's keep growing this grassroots army. Our vision is to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists, and our mission statement is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. So, if you've had enough of anything goes, join us every Monday at 7 p.m., as our state director and host, Dale Parrish, will show you how we can actually make a difference by using the Constitution to save the Constitution and our country. So join us now for Indiana Live.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Marengo Mike, for that introduction. Yes, I'm Dale Parrish. I'm the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana. And I want to welcome you to our broadcast this evening, COS Indiana Live. Before I get started, I want to put out a big thank you to those of you that tuned in to our roundtable meeting on June 28th. That would be last Monday evening. As you know, we're now devoting the fourth Monday of every month, the fourth Monday's COS Indiana Live broadcast. We're devoting that now to a roundtable meeting. It'll be an hour long. The entire hour is devoted to a roundtable meeting. And last Monday, the 28th, was our first monthly roundtable meeting. And I just want to tell you, it was a great success. As far as viewers and the people that we reached with that broadcast, we set a record. So a record for 2021, and as far as viewers are concerned, we set a record, an all-time record. So once again, thank you very much, and work with us, please, because we want to grow that. I want to get as a goal. I have 1,000 viewers as my goal that I want to see happen. So help us get there, if you would, please. But in the meantime, thank you very much. Also want to mention that we are coming to you through our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana, but we're also live streaming on YouTube now, our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. So there is an alternative way to view our broadcast on YouTube. And if you are a YouTube viewer, please click on that subscribe button and become a subscriber to our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. We would love to have you as a subscriber. The number of subscribers, I might mention, has been steadily growing over the past few months. So we would love to have you as a YouTube viewer and subscriber to our YouTube channel. I also want to mention that last month, actually in May, we started a podcast, COS Indiana Live podcast. And the podcast is basically the audio portion of our COS Indiana Live broadcast. So tonight's broadcast, I'll be downloading the audio portion and creating a podcast, COS Indiana Live podcast. Evidently, there are people that prefer to listen to the broadcast via a podcast rather than viewing. So, in order to accommodate those desires, we have created this podcast. Now, you can reach our podcast at anchor.fm/Dale-Parish and the number 8. That's anchor.fm/Dale-Parish and the number 8. That's where you can find our podcast. Now, let me briefly go through the different segments of our broadcast this evening so you'll know what to expect. In our first segment, we call it the interview segment, which we bring in a guest to interview, and we try as much as possible to bring in leadership individuals from COS leadership here in Indiana. And tonight we have one of those. We have another one of our new district captains to come in and talk with us tonight. Her name is Cynthia Jerge. I should say Dr. Cynthia Jerge. And I think you're going to find Cynthia very, very interesting. She's the new district captain for District 12. So we'll bring her on and you'll get to know her a little bit better tonight. And I think you're going to find it very, very interesting. Now, in the second segment, then, I'll bring up my PowerPoint and give you some information about Convention of States, and specifically some information about what we're trying to accomplish here in Indiana and how we're going about accomplishing that. Then also give you a little peek at what we have planned for next week's broadcast on the 12th. So that'll all be in the information segment. Then in the third segment, then I'll recognize as best as I can any viewer comments that we might have tonight. So if you're watching either via Facebook or YouTube, feel free to make a comment or ask a question. I'll try my best to get it on the screen this evening. Now, in the fourth segment, I call it the contributor segment. We have certain individuals here in our organization in Indiana that we've designated as COS Indiana Live contributors. And these are individuals that, maybe have strong opinions or interest, I should say. And so I asked them to send me a pre-recorded brief clip on what they have to say. And I will then play that as in the contributors segment. Now tonight, as a matter of fact, Maringo Mike has a very, very, I think, very important message for everyone tonight. So Maringo Mike has sent me a clip for the contributors segment tonight. So you'll be very interested to hear that, I'm sure. Now, in the final segment, I call it the invitation because in this segment, we'll give you some more information about Convention of States, but then I'm going to invite you to join Convention of States and tell you how to go about doing that. So that's why we call it the invitation segment. So that's what we have in store for you tonight. And without further ado, then let's get into our first segment, the interview segment, and let me bring on Dr. Jerge here. Hello, hi. Cynthia.
Hi.
It's okay if I call you doctor?
Sure, you can if you want to. That's fine.
Okay.
Or you can call me Cindy. It doesn't matter.
And call you Cindy or call you Cindy, either way. Okay. Well, I will do that. Well, as I said, you are one of our new district captains. I think you just came on in the last, couple months, was it?
I did. I signed up to be district captain April of 2021.
April. Okay. So you've been a few months at it. Okay. All right. And you are the new district captain in House District 12.
Correct.
Now, Indiana, we are for those of you that may not be aware, we're organized around House districts in every state, quite honestly, not just Indiana. But in Indiana, there are 100 House districts. So someday we want to have a district captain like Cynthia in every one of these districts. But now Cynthia is district captain for House District 12. So tell us, where is House District 12 located in the state?
We're up in Northwest Indiana. We cover Munster, the southern part of Hammond, Highland, and Griffith.
Okay.
So we're up in it's a hard area because it's mainly Democrats up here, but we can do it. But that's the area that I'm at.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, I always ask all the leadership individuals that we bring on to interview, I always ask them to tell us their COS story. Now, not your life story, but your COS story, the how, when, where you learned about COS and got involved in COS. So,
well, I signed up, like I said, in April 2021, but I became much more interested in politics or the political climate about 6 to 9 months before the November 2020 election. And to be honest, I was quite concerned of a lot of the progressive views and ideas that were sort of being pushed on us as a country and the federal overreach of mandating a lot of things to us, even taking power not only from the states, but mandating us. So I really got concerned and started getting more like looking into what was going on. And then obviously we know what was the outcome of the 2020 election in November. And once the certain people got voted in, I saw that we were really becoming more progressive in our views. And I thought to myself, I need to do something. I'm worried for my children. I'm worried for my grandchildren that what this country, the direction it's going. And I'm a conservative person. I believe in the Constitution. And I started looking for something that I could become involved with that had the same views that I did. And so I noticed Mark Levin was talking about the Convention of States in Facebook and also on the radio. I listened to a lot of political stations on the radio, and I was getting emails. And when I saw the meaning behind the Convention of States, I was like, aha, it's like the light bulb went off. This is the group that I need to join and become involved with, and hopefully bring others to become involved with, because of the direction this country is going, which is away from the Constitution.
Okay, good. Well, many of us were inspired along our journey by Mark Levin, so that's not unusual. So, well, good. That's very, very interesting. So glad you found us, Cynthia. Glad you found us. Well, you're a new district captain, and we wanted to get into and touch on some of the objectives, specific objectives that you've set for yourself for your district. So I know one of them that you wanted to talk about was growing the grassroots in your district. So what kind of objectives? What are you trying to accomplish there?
I really believe in the grassroots local level. I believe that this last election in November was partly lost because we did not have, as Republicans, as good a grassroots. And I feel like people need to know what is going on in your country, not only at the federal, state, but your local level. And so I want people to become involved and know the information out there. See, people that are running for school boards, see the people that are your state legislators, what they actually believe. They may promise one thing, but how are they voting when they actually get to, down in Indianapolis? So, and I think most people, to be honest, I don't think they're apathetic. They're just misinformed. I think people just go in and they just vote because maybe they heard somebody's name or it's somebody that's been in for a while. But I think we need to be more accountable as a country. Maybe we got a little bit more laid back, more stagnant through the years. But I think now that we see the direction our country's going, and it's going away from following the Constitution, we have got to get people to understand what is really going on, and it has to start at the grassroots level. So I really want to become involved with my volunteers. I've already got a meeting planned 2 weeks from now. I'm looking to see how the state legislators, especially in my area, how they're voting on bills that are coming. I think we're at a point now in our country that we have got to get more involved. We've got to stand together. We've got to say, if we vote somebody in and you said you were going to do this, but you're not doing that, hey, wait a minute. We're out here and we see what you're doing. And that's not why we got you elected. So I think it really starts at the grassroots level, that everybody becomes involved in your community. And it happens at the school board. We're seeing things that are going on a lot at these school boards throughout the country, ideas or more progressive thinking. And I think these are our children. These will be my grandchildren someday. We have got to step in and start using our voices and be confident in ourselves that we can do it. So I'm very much wanting to work and get going with my volunteers and people at the grassroots level to go.
All right. Good. Sounds good. That's you're right on. You're right on, Cindy. You're right on. Thank you. Good. Well, I know you said also you wanted to, make contact with your legislators. As you know, that's a major responsibility for of our district captains is to get that relationship going with your state legislators. So, and you've got some challenge there, right?
You can do it because it's easy to literally look at the website, look up on your website for any state to see who's in your district. And actually, we have a new person, Mike Andrade, who just got elected November 2020. So he's actually new in District 12. And he's been sending out flyers. I've already looked to see how he's voting on the bills that have come through Indianapolis. So I think it's very important to get to know them, and I've already sent a couple of emails to him. I sent a note to him. My plan is to actually meet with him in person, get to know, the people that work with him. But I think this, again, is on the grassroots level. We can't be intimidated. We have to be feeling like approach them, friendly, respectful, but that, hey, we're out here. We see what you're doing. We're voting, putting you in that position because we liked what you said, or you were conservative, or you believe in the Constitution. And I think we have to hold people at the state and the federal level, and even at your local level, we have to hold them accountable that this is why we voted you in, and this is what we want you to do when we vote you in.
Okay, good. You mentioned, I meant to say this to you in our preparation for tonight's interview, but you're one legislator that you said was brand new that just got elected in. It's very possible he knows absolutely nothing about Convention of States, Cindy, much less about the resolution that was passed in 2016 by Indiana. So we frequently find this with new legislators that come in. There needs to be an education process that you need to take that individual through, if at all possible, to first of all educate them as to what the resolution is about and what Convention of States is all about, because there's a high likelihood that he or she may not know anything about what we're all about. So you got a good challenge there. You got a good challenge. I'm sure you'll do fine. Well, I wanted to get into, as we mentioned, you're a doctor, you're a pediatrician, and I know you told me about your experience as a pediatrician with the education systems up in your area. So I know that's something of very, very high importance to you. I wanted to let you comment on that.
I have been a pediatrician for 30 years. I've worked in urban communities in Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Gary. And I've that's the areas I've chosen to work in. And I very much stress constantly to my families that they have to have a good education for their children to be able to succeed in life and be able to get out maybe of the area that they're in. And so most of the high schools in Lake County I have been to for, over 10 years, just in Gary or in Chicago and Pittsburgh, doing sports physicals, regular physicals, back to school, and constantly trying to impress upon the families that one of the only ways to be able to get out and succeed, set your goals, is a good education. And I'm for school choice. I mean, I think some of these schools, we have to make them accountable. I make the parents go up there if their child's not doing well. Why are they not doing well? Work with me. I make the schools help them with testing, but we have got to try to supply a good education for these kids, or they're never going to get ahead in life. They're just not going to.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I knew that was very important to you, so I wanted to let you comment on that. Well, I wanted you to, we like to wrap up the interview on a note of self-governance, getting involved, and you stress that as how important that is. So I understand you getting involved. You got involved. You got elected to a post here recently. Want to tell us about that?
Right. I was just recently elected to be vice president of the Lake County Republican Women's Federation. And I'm also very involved in the Patriots of Northwest Indiana. Again, I'm a conservative. I believe in the Constitution, and both these groups are very much so with that. So I'm very excited to be, chosen as the vice president of this group, and then my work that I still continue to do with the Patriots of Northwest Indiana. All
right. Well, I just scanned over the comments, and I noticed one comment here that you might like, that Dale Tipton says, Cindy is on her way to becoming an outstanding DC. So
I hope I can do well for Dale, because he's regional captain, so he'll keep an eye on me. So hopefully I will do well for him being the regional captain.
Right. Dale's your region captain. Okay. Well, Cindy, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. And we're glad to have you as a new district captain for us here in Indiana. And I'm sure you're going to be a great success for us. So thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye. Cindy Jerge, one of our fantastic new district captains. I tell you, I really am glad to have individuals like her in our leadership group. Just great. Okay. Let's now get into the information stage of our information segment, which is the next segment here. So let me bring up my PowerPoint, and we'll quickly go through some slides here for you. Our vision statement here in the state of Indiana is the same as our national vision statement for Convention of States, and that's to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists. Now, our mission statement in Indiana is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. So that's our mission statement here in Indiana. Now, we've identified certain objectives that we wanted to accomplish for 2021. We wanted to get to 70,000 supporters. We wanted to get some more young people involved. We've got some, but we wanted to get some more young people involved. We wanted to get to 7 region captains. We're almost there. I think we just promoted our 6th region captain. We have 9 regions here in the state of Indiana. So ultimately, we want to get a region captain in place in each region. We want to get to 40 district captains. We have already accomplished that. We want to keep growing. Implement a call to action program. That's the legislative efforts that we were involved in at the beginning of the year when the Indiana was in session, and deliver education program. That's an ongoing program, and we're rolling that out. And we address that in our roundtable meetings. So that's where we are addressing and delivering more on our education program. I wanted to cover some resources that you have here available to us in Indiana. The main resource is our national website, which is conventionofstates.com. You'll hear us make reference to this website frequently. Now, embedded in the national website is our state webpage, Convention of States, Indiana. We have also on YouTube, COS Indiana, mentioned that earlier. We're live streaming through our YouTube channel. Also, I might mention that our YouTube channel is very much an educational resource. And so is our national website, conventionofstates.com. But our YouTube channel, we've got some narrated PowerPoints. We have recordings of our broadcasts. We have links to a great podcast that our legislative liaison, Paul Phillips, does called The Free to Be Free. And we also then offer the podcast, the new podcast, COS Indiana Live podcast. So our YouTube channel has a wealth of educational information. Now, we are also posting recordings of our broadcasts on Parler. We're now posting on Rumble, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We may eventually, we have the ability to actually live broadcast through LinkedIn. So we're going to try and develop that possibility here in the very, very near future. The other main resource that we have is our state newsletter. Once you become a supporter of Indiana, COS Indiana, Convention of States, and you opt to accept emails, you will get our state newsletter emailed to you every month. And folks, it is truly, of course, I'm a bit biased here, but it is really a very professional publication. And I think you're going to really enjoy it. And it's jam-packed with information, our state newsletter. I think one evening, I think we're going to devote a whole, maybe a whole broadcast to covering that state newsletter, because it is, it's so very good. So you'll want to definitely take that. Now, here's some upcoming events that I'm aware of. And this list is always changing as communities open up and bring and reinstate festivals and fairs that they have had in previous years, but had ceased due to COVID. So, but now they're beginning to come back up, and these are more and more opportunities for us to have information tables, or at least have some sort of presence there to talk to people about Convention of States. And I wanted to take this opportunity to mention kind of an unusual event that we attended just yesterday, and that was the 4th of July parade in Noblesville, Indiana. We marched in that parade, and we had a group of Convention of States volunteers that marched in that parade, and I understand we distributed a great deal of literature, talked to a lot of people during that experience. And I want to recognize specifically our district captain for that area, Melba Kaiser, was the one that organized that parade, and I want to recognize her for doing that. Some other upcoming events: Lake County Gun Show coming up, Peru Circus City Festival later in July, Allen County Fair the end of this month. And as I mentioned earlier, our next roundtable meeting is so on COS Indiana Live is July 26th at 7 p.m. And that'll always be on the fourth Monday of every month. Now, Our next broadcast on July 12th, as I mentioned to you, we try to bring on leadership individuals from our organization here in Indiana. But now, once in a while, we want to bring in a leader from our national group. And we just got a new leader, a regional director, Brenda Carlin. Brenda is a regional director for 6 or 7, I believe, past states. We have 15 states that have passed the resolution calling for a convention of states. These states we refer to as past states. Indiana is a past state. So they divided them up between 2 individuals, and Brenda is then our new regional director, and we're in her group of past states. So we're going to I'm going to have to pre-record my interview with her, and I'll then play the recording on our broadcast on July 12th. So you'll get a chance to meet Brenda and get kind of an idea as to what some of her objectives are for in her new job as a past states regional director. All right. Well, let me check my comments area, see if we've had any other comments. Diane Jones wanted to say hello to everyone, and she did, and she missed Cindy. She wanted to say welcome, Cindy. Unfortunately, Cindy dropped off before she got that on, or before I recognized it. So anyway, Diane, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. Appreciate your tuning in to see us this evening. Well, in this segment now, we're now into our next segment, which is the contributors segment. And I mentioned and promised to you that we had a contribution this evening from Maringo Mike. So I'm going to bring on Maringo Mike right now.
Hello and welcome to another Maringo Mike's Corner. You know, with all that's been happening in our country of late, people are realizing it's time to do more than just complain about it with your neighbors or post a meme on your social media. Besides, that'll probably get you canceled for 30 days. So, people are asking, what can I do? Well, people are noticing Convention of States and finding that we, the people, actually have a vehicle that gives the people the power to take back control of our federal government. They see terms like self-governance and ask, what is self-governance? Well, I'm here at my local school district preparing to run for a spot on the local school board. It's a perfect example of doing versus complaining. Becoming active and getting involved to enact change is a form of self-governance. Just like using Article 5 of the Constitution is a way of using the Constitution to save the Constitution and our country. Well, that's all for now on the corner this month. If you haven't already, sign the petition and tell your neighbors, and get involved in your local government. It's the least we can do. So, bye-bye for now.
All right, thank you, Maringo Mike. That was, I hope you enjoyed that. Such an important topic, self-governance. Self-governance, folks, is one of the main tenets of Convention of States. And we really, really stress that with all of our leadership individuals, and stress that with as well with our supporters. It's so very, very important to get involved. Get involved. And actually, you know, Article 5, holding a Convention of States, we the people, that's all part of self-governance. So get involved at whatever level you can. And Maringo Mike was right on target about running for a position on the school board. This seems to be getting a lot of attention, the positions on community school boards. So if that's something of interest to you, if the education system is something of interest to you, which it hopefully it is, you'll want to try and get involved there. All right. Well, let's get in now to our final segment, which is the segment on the invitation. And I'm going to get us started off here with another little short video. Hope you will enjoy this.
Talk about Congress. Hey, Congress is full of people who don't know what the hell they're doing, but want to control your lives.
The longer they stay in, the more connected they become to special interests, and special interests are destroying our nation.
They give each other what they want, and they stick the taxpayer with the bill.
What's going to happen to the millennials? Unfunded liabilities plus debt now is $144 trillion.
Politicians come in and say they're going to change it, and they never, ever do.
We're not going to surrender the greatest country on the face of the earth and turn it into another failed European experiment.
The question is today, will we use the Constitution to save the Constitution?
Our framers in particular foresaw that this day would come.
The Peach State is making history. Lawmakers passed a preliminary measure today for a convention of states.
The Missouri House passed a measure calling for a convention of states.
The Convention of States.
The Article 5 Convention of States.
Convention of States.
Convention of States.
Convention of the States.
How does the Convention of States?
Convention of the States.
The Convention of States.
Convention of States.
For the States Project.
Mark Meckler. Now you run a group trying to build a movement. You're saying the work is being done across this country to get to that 34 state threshold, and whether Washington wants it or not, the people hold a convention to limit the powers of the federal government.
It's right there in Article 5.
Article 5 of the Constitution was included by the founders for this exact time.
Where Washington would so depart from our principles
that only we, the people, could cut it down to size. So I think it may well take a convention to wake them up.
I've been a longtime supporter of the Convention of States to reestablish the sort of guiding principles of the Constitution.
The Convention of the States empowers the people of America to get some things done that they've long wanted.
By using Article 5 of the Constitution, we can pursue reforms such as a balanced budget amendment.
It's term limits on Congress, term limits on judges, and a balanced budget amendment for America.
It's becoming 11th state to call for a convention to limit federal government power.
The Arkansas House passed a resolution that calls for a convention of states.
30 states, Steve, 30, have either passed it in their state legislature or are actively considering it. So there is a pathway to that number.
There's literally nothing like this has been done in American history.
If you want to put government back in check, it's only going to be us, the people, do it.
And so this is the last chance I think we, the people, have to get back in the control of the constitutional reins of our republic.
Inspire them to make sure that we pass on a better America.
That is the next revolution we need.
No, we have to do this.
Governor Greg Abbott is calling for more states to get on board with a push for a convention of states.
Tomorrow we're going to work to make sure that we add the 13th, 14th, 15th, all the way up to the 34th state.
A year, 10 years, 100 years, whatever it takes.
If the federal government won't do it, then we will.
Go to conventionofstates.com, press the button, sign the petition. More importantly, get 10 of your friends to do the same. When you sign the petition, then that sends a letter to your state legislator. You go on the list in their district as a supporter. We deliver those lists to
There we go. That I think is a pretty good summary of what we're trying to do with the Convention of States. Article 5, we're not making this up. Article 5 of our Constitution describes two ways that the Constitution can be amended. One is through Congress, and the second method is through the state legislatures calling a convention of states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution. And that's what we want to see happen. It's never been done before, folks. An Article 5 convention of states. So we want to hold a convention of states. We need 34 states to make this happen. We have 15 that have already signed on and passed the resolution. And as I mentioned, Indiana is one of those states. So we need to get to 34 states to make this happen. And once again, now this is to propose amendments to the Constitution. And we have 3 specific areas that we want to address: the national debt, the reach of the federal government, and term limits. And those are the 3 areas that we want the convention to address with regard to proposing amendments. Now, any proposed amendments, just as in the first method of amending, have to be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures, or 38 states. So just because an amendment's proposed doesn't mean it's going to become an amendment to the Constitution. It has to be ratified. So can be a long process as well. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here, folks. And this is what we want you to join us to do. Now, what I want to tell you very briefly here is how to go about, let me get myself back up here, how to go about joining Convention of States and becoming one of our supporters in Convention of States. The first step to take is to go to our national website, conventionofstates.com. Open an account, sign the petition. That makes you a supporter, and that's a very, very important step for you to take right there. Now, if you're the type of individual that you would like to get more involved, you've got some time that you would like to commit to working in a leadership role in Convention of States, then at the top of the website where the menu selections are located, click on the menu selection, Take Action. Scroll down to where it says Become a Leader and look at the different volunteer positions that we have available. And I would call your attention to District Captain. That's such an important position. They're all very important. But that is a very, very important position. Just like our guest this evening, Dr. Jerge, is one of our new district captains. So I would ask you to take a good look at becoming a district captain. Now it's a time commitment. The positions have different time commitments, and you're the only one that can judge how much time that you have to commit. So take a look at the different positions, see if there's one interesting to you. If it is, read about it. If it's still very interesting to you, go ahead and make application. You're not obligated in any way. But what that does then is your name comes up on a report, and one of us then will be in contact with you to discuss the position further with you. So that's what you need to do, and that's how you go about joining Convention of States. And I want to invite you to do this, please, because we want your involvement, and we need your involvement in Convention of States. It's all about growing the grassroots. And I want to just leave you with one thought on this, and that is, and I mentioned this earlier, when we hold a Convention of States, we're going to be making history, because Article 5, Convention of States, for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution, has never been done. So this will be a first. So join us, please, if you believe that we need to get our country back on track. This is the solution as big as the problem. So, folks, come with us, join us here in Indiana, and help us make history. Convention of States, Indiana. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. Look forward to seeing you next Monday evening, July 12th, for another episode of Convention of States COS Indiana Live. Keep in mind our roundtable meeting coming up on July 26th. So once again, thank you for joining us this evening, and good night, everyone. Have a good evening.